everyone. I'm really glad to welcome you to another episode from Fusion Talks. And today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Rola Nasreddine. Thank you, Rola, for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here today.
Really looking forward to our discussion, and I want to give you a glimpse about Rola. She's a rare force in environmental sustainability, combining deep technical expertise with diplomacy, policy influence, and boots on the ground experience. Rola has spent over 2 decades advising governments, shaping international energy and climate strategies, and bridging the gap between public policy, consultancy, and environmental action. From COP18 to ministries across MENA region, her work reflects what true climate leadership looks like when knowledge meets action. If you want to understand the environmental challenges and opportunities shaping our region's future, this is the talk to tune into.
Thank you so much.
So, I'm really happy to explore different facets because really your experience is rich from various angles and through as well decades of expertise on the grounds with ministries, with consultancies. And we want to tap into environmental sustainability in MENA to have this reality check and understanding from your lenses and a deep professionalism. So, what's the state of environmental sustainability in the region from your point of view, Rula?
Thank you, Yasmine. I'll go back 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I recall that at that time, the governments here in the Middle East were a little bit have importance for the sustainability, for the environment, but not as a priority. At that time, you would see that government, they could participate in the COP meeting, which is Conference of Parties for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and have like some kind of a projects, very little projects. There were no diversification at that time. There is no talk about the renewable energy, about the alternatives. It's kind of like taboo a little bit. No, we need to focus on the oil and gas, the region specific GCC. They are fully dependent on the exploration and oil exporting, So then we see the shift. So between 2010 to 2012, UAE started to have projects on renewable energy. And now, in 2025, we see many projects about renewables in the region. UAE is taking the lead, KSA, the other regions in the Middle East, you have Egypt, Morocco, and others for renewable, specifically solar and wind, and other projects on the hydro, etc. So we saw a shift 20 years back until today. The net zero emission targets that countries like UAE and KSA put for 2050 and 2060. So this is a big commitment for the countries in the region.
The agenda got acceleration, and we see ambitious as well targets.
Absolutely, yes.
The MENA is really on fire in the stewardship behind the NDCs in their countries. And what are the biggest environmental blind spots that you've encountered in MENA?
Yeah, for the region, they will not, as I said, it's not a priority for them for the climate change. We saw in COP28 where it is a huge participation from all over the world, from the region, from government to semi-government to private sector to NGOs for the non-government organization to IGOs, the intergovernmental organization. And we've seen lots of initiatives that had been taken care. So the blind spot is that some governments, some corporations, they see, okay, sustainability is enough, but it's not a checklist. You have to make sure that you are really implementing these initiatives and strategies. The question is, are we going to reach the net zero emission target by 2050, 2060? What are the measures that we are taking into consideration, and we adapting it in order to make sure that we measure such progress? I mean, Also, there is like the climate change. They focus on the mitigation, how you reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, like CO2, carbon dioxide, and the methane. But the issue is that how we adapt. For example, last year we have the floods in Dubai.
Yeah.
How we adapt to such extreme weather conditions. In Libya also there were floods. What we can do as a government and corporation and private sector in order to adapt to the climate change
And to
reduce and
mitigate.
mitigate. Yeah. So these are the blind spots, as well also the enforcement of the regulations. We don't see much the regulations and the laws are enforced. They're like a polluter pay.
Yes.
We don't have it in the region,
Yeah.
right? So this is the blind spot that we see, that some regulations are not fully implemented. We see lots of initiatives and lots of actions and strategies are being implemented, but it's not enough.
Not enough in terms of progress to really advance the whole agenda, or not necessarily it might be adopted across all entities, governments. So when you mention the regulation, I fully agree, because if most of the traction will remain voluntary and it's not mandated, and if the regulation somehow will be relaxed and not too tough, then the accountability as well will fall between the cracks.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
we all need each other. It's not only the intention.
Absolutely. I fully agree with you.
Yes. It is as well the binding
Yes,
force. It's
yes.
regulation laws. What misconceptions do businesses and policy makers still have?
That's a good question. I think they believe like sustainability, or like if you do some net zero target, that's enough. If you put like like some strategies, like some corporations, they show that, oh, we put a strategy for sustainability, or the ESG, the environment, social, and governance. Certain commitments. The thing is that, what kind of regulations are you putting in order to implement it? The thing that we have to, how you prepare your staff and the management, the middle management and the top management, on how they can implement such
The right projects in place.
such projects. Yeah. So this is the most important thing. To train. We at the Springs Global Consultancy, we do training and capacity building for employees and staff on topics related to sustainability, on ESG, on climate change. So you have to train the employees on the outcome. What's the outcome you want to achieve? How you can reach there? What kind of strategies you put in order to move step by step to reach the result that you want to reach. Also, you can review the strategy. Sometimes, they say, oh, let's say they come to a certain corporation, oh, we want to put some sustainability plans. So, but without even understanding the reality, what's the meaning of sustainability? What's the cost on the economy?
What is their footprint?
What is the footprint? Exactly. How you will implement it. So is this gonna be compatible or in line with what you put? Are you using a third party to audit what you're doing?
Yeah,
So
to
these are
assure.
to assure your strategy that you do is gonna be accountable. The accountability is very important.
Yeah, this is the role of the governments.
Yes.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, because if it remains just like, I want sustainability because it looks good, it helps us publicity wise, it's a tick in the box.
Yes.
However, if it's really embodied from the top and across the whole business portfolio, then it will make a difference.
Absolutely.
which countries or sectors they are showing real traction?
Yes. UAE is taking the lead.
Our pride.
Yes, our pride. We live in UAE, and the loss of projects in the solar, on renewable, on the hydrogen, on carbon capture sequestration. KSA also, Saudi Arabia is taking also the lead. You have the NEOM project and Saudi Green Initiative to plant 30 billion trees by 2030. They already planted, I guess, around 100 million trees so far. So they're taking lots of initiatives in regard to the carbon, the CCS, the carbon capture sequestration with Aramco, the hydrogen project. We've seen like Aqua Power, they're implementing lots of projects in the renewable energy. Some projects are implemented in the region and others in the whole world. We have Masdar City. They are pioneer in the renewable energy. So this is what is the region is, taking the lead. And you have other from the Middle East, as I said, Jordan, Egypt, Morocco. So you have UAE and Egypt and Morocco. They have around 40 gigawatt of the solar energy. So they're implementing lots of projects and the solar. And we're looking for more countries to follow. There were projects in the past, like I remember I worked in Kuwait with the OAPIC, the Organization of Arab Petroleum Exporting Countries. At that time, the institute, the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research, they have research on the solar, but unfortunately, they didn't implement. And I remember that they tried their best to implement more projects, but now it's getting better. We see Oman also is taking some initiatives, Bahrain and Qatar as well. So it's taking,
It's bubbling.
it's going there, but still need more efforts.
More efforts and across various tiers. Water needs
Yes.
more projects.
Absolutely, yeah.
We see food security is high on the agenda.
Definitely,
in a
yes.
few countries, and starting as well to hear the projects behind regen ag, or even climate resilient crops that can grow in the desert.
Yes.
So, but let's see what can be of scale to really make the vast difference.
Absolutely. I want to say something. When we had the corona, during the COVID, so the food supply chain was impacted. So, and that when the government start to look into strategies and policies, how they can have a sustained supply chain, food security. Grow more crops in the region. In the past, we didn't see any mention to the vertical farming. Now, you see UAE also is taking the lead on the vertical farming and reduce the consumption of the water. They want to also use wastewater treatment, in order to use it for the agriculture and irrigation.
Yeah, very true. COVID onwards, you see the topic of food systems became center stage.
Absolutely.
And the whole narrative changed and became as well one of the bullseye topics at COPs.
Yeah.
Which is as well, it's not beyond food security. Food systems contribute a lot to as well sustainability per se and mitigating climate change. So let's move, Rola, from policy to practice and how this gap can be bridged. How do we move beyond paper commitments?
Yes, absolutely. The first thing I think is to make sure that these regulations are implemented. Let's start with the government. So you have commitments with the local regulations. You have commitment with the international UN agreements and UN conventions. So how do you take this from the commitments on paper, as you said, into implementation? So put like an action plan. Have a time frame for such policies or strategies or regulations, how you can start for short term, mid-term, and long term. So these policies and strategies should be implemented on intervals. Train your staff, the employees. what we see in the government sector, especially, you have certain people, they got educated, they got the training, then they move to another company or another corporation. So
Okay.
the succession plan to have the leaders in the same organization and make sure that whoever would come after is really well equipped with all the skills that they need in order to move forward with the policies that they have for the
We need
environment.
knowledge
So
retention as
exactly,
well.
transfer the knowledge from the top management to the lower. And but I mean, nonetheless, we've seen like the young generation, they're getting more training. They travel to conferences. They get to network with other subject matter
Are better
experts and
exposed.
exposed to conferences locally, regionally, and internationally. I mean, as consultants, we could help them to how to review first and make assessment of the current strategy and policies. What is the challenge they're facing? Okay, we can help them in a way that to put a roadmap for that and put a plan according to the priorities,
Yes.
according to the budget. I mean, what they're looking for. Is it just like to see if this is, a short term or long term? So this is very important for them to assess and make assessment of the current situation.
And how it can align as well with the vision of the country.
Yes, absolutely.
2030,
Yes.
2050,
Yes.
or beyond.
Yes.
Based on your advisory work, what makes environmental policies work?
Yeah, as I said, I mean, you have to make sure that first assessment of these policies. I mean, check what is available. Start from what's available. I mean, don't import global. I mean, I'm not saying that, okay, you can import the global standards, but you have to customize it to the local. Because
Yes.
what works in EU or US or in Africa doesn't work in the
Local
Gulf.
context, yeah.
So local context. So what you can customize as these policies, what can work, what is the community? I mean, we
The
have
needs.
the needs, yeah. So there is when companies, let's say, when there is a big project like hydropower, etc., there is something they call environmental impact assessment study. So one part of it is study the social aspect. Like, let's say if you're putting a dam in an area, could be this area, there's some historical sites. There could be farmers, or I mean, how this will impact the community that they're living there. So you have to take into consideration the social factor, the economic factor. Is it feasible, this project? I mean, how many people will benefit from this? I mean, which areas are benefited from this? The outcome, I mean, how much water you are collecting? So
yes,
all the aspects for the economy, social, and environment should be taken into consideration as an impact. So, I mean, I think in any environmental projects, if you have all the stakeholders that are engaged, from the private sector to the government to the NGOs to the public and to the municipalities, you can make more impact, with such project. This is where because if we just kept it as a regulation with no involvement from the communities, let's say, I mean, a few years ago when they introduced the no plastic bags, people,
Yes.
they start to complain, how we can take our stuff in a paper bag, take it home. So now they get used to that this is a small action from the individuals in order to save the environment, I would like also to share a project that I was supervising back when we had an energy efficiency project for one building.
Yes.
So the developer and the construction, I mean, they used everything. All the materials are energy efficient. And then when the building was fully done, they asked whoever would come to rent or buy, that when you purchase any electrical equipment, it has to be low kilowatt, from the iron to the fridge, etc. The LED lamps, etc. They use double glazing. They use here in Dubai. We use lots of double glazing, and they follow the LEED, which is a standard for the efficient building. So at that time, I mean, they showed that you could save more than 50-60% of your electricity bill if you implement energy efficiency in the building, in the apartment, or if you want to build your own house. So this could be, let's say, solar heating panel. You could use the solar electricity to generate your own electricity. So as a person or as an individual, you can do lots in order to save the environment and contribute to the preservation of the natural resources.
Absolutely. I love that it starts with the stock taking of what policies we have to import what could be applicable for the inspiration but adapt, and to talk as well with the private sector and understand community needs.
Yes.
And I like how you tapped to, without maybe naming it, the double materiality, which is not only how the environment or climate change impacts business, but businesses, we need them more to be aware about their impact on the social economic environment. So this example is spot on. If really this aggregates and becomes, you know, the ethos of how things are done, the world will be in a better place.
Absolutely, yes.
To engage and be aware on the impact on all stakeholders and to have their voice embedded in what we want to do.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Let's move to as well the roles that consultants play in closing this implementation gap.
Yes, I think as consultants, we could help the government sector how they can engage with other government institutions. A few years ago, I was working with Bureau Veritas. They have the project with a center in KSA under the Ministry of Environment. And at that time, I remember that the engagement between government entities is kind of a little bit not smooth engagement, or like each government institution or each ministry, they hide information.
They compete.
They compete. So it's about, I mean, so how to streamline the process of engagement between one entity, government entity, and another. Because at the end of the day, for example, you have a commitment for the environment. So how you gather the efforts together. I mean, the competition is amazing, it's good. But I mean, why to have double efforts? So if you are, so it should be like coordination between each other in order to, all the efforts would lead to the one outcome or one result. So as a consultant, we can help them how to engage with other stakeholders. I mean, to put like what kind of job description for each entity, starting from their mandate as a government entity. So each one, they have a different role within the organization. For, let's say they are all under the Ministry of Environment. So, but how you can work together to go up to provide support for the Ministry of Environment, and then the Ministry of Environment go to the international conventions and provide the KSA position in such conferences or conventions. So it's better for them to gather all the efforts together and work, and also share the data. What we miss in the region is the data, accurate data. We notice sometimes people, they go to the, Google or other search or whatever, but you have to find the accredited resources. Accurate from a confidential resource, or from very accredited one from UN Resources website, or a very accredited from consultancy. It's very important to also share this data,
and gap, and
it's a gap, and updated. Sometimes we don't find the data.
It's very old.
It's very old. So collect data and share it. and make sure that everyone is, I mean, and it's good also to share the success stories. Like sometimes you know that certain country is doing very well in terms of the, let's say, renewable or other. Share this so the others can learn. Share also the challenges, the obstacles. So if this X number of companies they have, or like the government, they have challenges. So how did you solve such challenges so others can benefit and learn? So share the lessons learned. And we as consultants, we know sometimes what happens with certain countries or certain corporations or government sectors. So because we bring expertise who had more than 20 to 30 years of experience working in the region and working with international organizations. So,
Yeah.
so the expertise also bring the right experts for you. I mean, I know sometimes some clients, they look at the cost. The cost for them is the most topic. That's good, but also you have to make sure that the experts that you're
Yeah,
gonna
the
use,
wisdom accumulated through
yes,
the
that
years
will
and
give you
projects.
the best results, that or like will solve the problems that you're facing and the challenges that you have.
Yeah. Also, in the previous talk, we were mentioning the importance of data and the power of data and the insights, the decisions that could be driven, but based on quality and integrity of data.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's not only to get it, but how as well to make it work for you and make the
Yes.
best out of it. And yeah, I believe in our region there is still a lot of gap in some governments or private entities to scout
Yes.
for the right data, and we need to encourage transparency
Yes,
in
absolutely.
sharing and cross pollinating. I want us to move into a very interesting side as well of your experience when it comes to COPs. And usually, as audience, residents, enthusiasts, we get to know about COP is happening here, and then we are exposed to some of the scenarios or the events or the talks. But what happens behind the scene is a lot of work and multilateral engagement. So there is an untold story when it comes to climate diplomacy. What was it like advising a COP presidency? And you were one of the pioneers.
Thank you. Yes, the COP, the Conference of Parties to the UNFCCC, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement. So in 2012, I was a consultant working as the parties focal point for the COP president, COP 18 in Doha. I mean, it was like a work of nonstop. I mean, you wake up very early at 5, you start working at 6 until
Wow.
midnight. And the last 3 days where they adopt the decisions of the COP, you don't sleep at all. So the challenge was to make sure that, because the COP 18 is like, it was the first Arab country that's that's
Hosting?
oil exporting country
Yes.
that host the COP. The first Arab country was Morocco in 2001, but Morocco is not an oil exporting country. So the challenge was, it is part of OPEC,
Okay.
Organization Petroleum Exporting Country. So Qatar is a gas exporting country. So they will look at them. So they are pro the oil exporting countries. So that was the first challenge for them. So you have to make sure that you have equal representation of all the groups, because during the COP you have different groups.
Yes.
There is a group called G77 in China, but it's like more than 134 countries, including all developing countries from Latin America, from the Africa, from the Middle East, some part of Europe, etc. And so these are developing countries. So they are the biggest group. And you have like the small islands, oases. You have groups of the African group, you have the Arab group, etc. And you have the EU group, European Union. You have the other developed countries group. So when each group come to take an appointment, or like they want, because there is like the COP, usually the plenary, when they have all the parts speak. So it's
Yes.
from start from 10 till 1 p.m. Then they have a break from 1 to 3, then from 3 to 6 p.m. So the challenge is that between 1 to 3 p.m., you have to meet all the groups.
Okay.
So the president sometimes get tired. If, let's say, a country come, I want to see them, then he would say, oh, I feel tired, or let's say we already seen other groups. So my role was to say, in order to make sure you are neutral,
And
not
inclusive.
and inclusive, because you don't want to look as you are supporting or pro the
Yes.
oil exporting countries. So you have to take into consideration all the points of view for all parties and all groups to have a common consensus. So there was lots of challenge, because during the negotiations, it was, lots of things that happen. So you have to guide on the geopolitics, on the how you can also help the Qatar negotiation when they go in the plenary and speak. What are the topics they can, to take into consideration, and make sure that they are always neutral in their position, so it doesn't show that they are supporting X country
Unbiased.
against unbiased to others. So the challenge also with some COPs, they have failed. So we want to make sure that this COP would succeed with the outcome, because it was the second commitment and amendment of the Kyoto Protocol. So that was a great outcome and achievement for the COP18 at that time. And also you have around more than 20,000 to 30,000 people are participating. So also the coordination between the Qatar delegation, the presidency, and the secretariat of the UNFCCC, because the president has to be, let's say, at this time in the plenary. And also there is something that they call informal consultation.
Okay.
That happened after 6 p.m. until midnight, and sometimes after 1 a.m.
For alignments?
For alignments, and sometimes it's negotiation of the text. So they meet late night. And the last 3 days, usually, they don't
Sleepless.
sleepless night. So you have to make sure that you engage all parties and you heard all the points of view of all the groups. Otherwise, you could fail.
What an immersive experience you have.
Yeah, it is very challenging, and it's also one of the biggest achievements that I'm proud of. To be part of such a success, and especially with the COP. And sometimes there was a COP that failed with one of the president, because he didn't take into consideration all the drafts because before the last 3 days, there is 2 weeks of negotiation where all the parties, all the head of delegation and the negotiators, they meet and draft the articles. Because, for example, the UNFCCC had what's called SBI and SUBSTA. SBI stands for Subsidiary Body for Implementation. SUBSTA, Subsidiary Body for Science and Technology Advice. And also you have the articles on the Kyoto Protocol, etc. So you have to make sure that all articles you negotiate and you take part of it, and it's in brackets. So then when it comes the ministerial segment, when it is the high level where all the presidents come, and then they negotiate the draft text and then remove the brackets or delete or amend. But what happened at that time, one of the COP president, he brought in a new text that's completely opposite, and it failed. So that, some COPs could, fail because of that. Because you didn't listen to the others, and you didn't take into consideration all the hard work that happened 2 weeks before the last 3 days.
Any reflections? This is spontaneous on the last COP that happened.
Yes,
Do you think
yes.
it succeeded? Like, we always hear there are a lot of pledges and commitments and talk, but action is minimal.
Absolutely.
Looking at most of the IPCC reports, we're still failing. Red flags.
Yes.
big gaps. So is it still necessary? What is the real impact moving on? Even when it comes to financing, there are some boxes that are ticked, but still a lot of the budgets needed to uplift vulnerable
Yes.
communities. There is a huge lack of commitment to fund the just transition.
Absolutely, I fully agree with you. The part of the global finance, even when it starts with the GEF, the Global Environment Facility, who used to finance the developing countries through different, contribution from the what they call it Annex One countries, developed countries like USA, EU, Japan, Australia, etc. So the commitments for them is there, but they don't implement. So we still lack the financial contribution from the Annex One
Developed
countries
to
developed to the developing. And you can see in Africa especially,
yeah.
there are lots of potential for the renewable energy. However, it lacks funding. I mean, this is what the COP resolutions or the COP articles that decision that comes out of each COP, some of them they're not implemented fully,
Yeah.
and some they're pushed from one cup to the another.
It's
They
a
keep
dragging.
negotiation. If you go back to the Kyoto Protocol, so the Kyoto Protocol put commitments on the developed countries where they were part of the historical responsibility as per the UNFCCC. So these developed countries, they already develop their countries like EU and
At
USA,
the
etc.
expense of exploiting others' resources.
Exactly. When it is the time for developing countries like China, India, KSA, and others, they want to develop their economies, then they wanted to put some commitments and binding commitments on them to reduce the greenhouse gas.
Yeah.
So this
Not
is
a level playing field.
Yes. So this is when Paris Agreement came also. So it's less binding than the Kyoto Protocol. Now they ask countries to tell about their voluntary commitments, what they will do, the NDCs, what the national
Determined
contribution. So what you can do in the future. So it's like a voluntary commitment. There is no evolution. There is no kind of regulation. And in the past, in the Kyoto Protocol, there was like a review of the commitments. I was part of one of the review for the Italy National Communication Report of Italy. So I was one of the experts with another expert from KSA and others. We were 5 experts plus one from the UNFCCC. So we reviewed the National Communication Report of Italy. Nowadays, it's not like before.
Is it the same as the stock taking that happened at COP28?
It's,
or are you
it's
referring
different.
to
It's different.
Ah,
it's
completely
different. These are reporting.
Okay.
As now for the developing countries here, so it's called like every 4 years you submit your national communication report, which this report have 3 sections mainly about the inventory of greenhouse gas, about the mitigation, how you mitigate the greenhouse gas, and the vulnerability assessment, how this will impact your region, about whether you will become more semi-arid areas or like you will have extreme. So it's like forecasting about
the trajectory
adaptation,
of
vulnerability, and the adaptation section. So these are the mainly, and it has to follow the IPCC guidelines, which is the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change.
Based on this, because it's not easy to digest, it is massive, it is complex, it involves a lot of parties, and you see all tension. You see the passion and the activism behind progress and even fiercer ambitions. And then from the other end, you see still vulnerabilities are there. Absolutely. Big question mark on the just transition. Commitments from private, public sector. Who is accountable, to bridge those gaps, and still lack of parity. So how can countries with different interests still move toward common climate goals?
Yes, it's starting from the commitments of these countries. So, I mean, when they negotiate, they have to push on them in order to make sure that these commitments are implemented and make sure that they will really have a kind of review and accountability. Who will review it, you know? So this is very important. Also, you can start from the local, I mean, have it local, localize it. So, for example, here in the region, so we have the impacts of the climate change on the weather. We have the sandstorm. So, what you can do as part of the region here. I mean, last week I was in a panel on the need for green.
Yes.
And it was about how you can, plant more plants in the region here, because this will absorb
Purify
CO2,
the air as
purify the
well.
air and cool the air,
And
etc.
carbon sink.
Carbon sink, exactly. So during the discussion in the panel on the need for green, so we discussed that when a developer wants to do a project, so there should be a mandate that the government say there should be 5-10% of the area should be planted.
Green space.
Green space. So we have to push for more green. Look at the Abu Dhabi. When you enter Abu Dhabi, you look at you have this the trees on the right and the
Yes.
left side when you enter Abu Dhabi. So this is great in order to absorb the pollutants in the air.
Purify the air.
And also make it more specific to the region. So we have the mangrove or other trees,
The native
the
trees.
cedar. So the native trees here, they are
Gaff,
gaff,
example.
exactly. Yeah, gaff usually it can have 35 kilogram of CO2 sequestration. You know, this is great. I mean, in order for them to decide on what kind of policies and strategies they can do to minimize these impacts. So adaptation, mitigation, and have more greenery. You know, we can use also smart irrigation, and coming from the treated wastewater. Instead of this water goes to the sea, use it in irrigation, in agriculture, use it in the construction, use it in the industries. So we see in Riyadh and Dubai, because of urbanization and because of rapid, development, so we need lots of water. So instead of using the water that comes from desalination, use the water that comes from the waste
treated and recycled water, the gray
yes.
water, brown water.
Yeah. So this is very important to save and not only count on the water desalination.
If such commitments, they spread across and there will be more agency, just imagine the size of this opportunity.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And use it, the innovative technology. You have lots of innovative technologies. Use it. You can use even the AI, artificial intelligence, in the irrigation. You can use it in the smart meters. You can use it in the energy sector to optimize. I mean, so in the region we have lots of, projects in the solar, but also there is challenges in the grid. So when it is the peak time, so are these the electricity that's coming from the solar energy or wind energy are enough or not? So there are lots of things. We have to take it into consideration.
To leverage and take it to the next level. Rola, what's one thing most people don't realize about international climate negotiations?
Thank you. For the international climate negotiation, there is lots of things that happen. So you have the official negotiators, and you have parties who are observers, like intergovernmental organization or NGOs, private sector, etc. And you have the part where people, they can share their information and bring research. But the question is the research that they're bringing to the negotiators, the official negotiators, is it accredited resource? So usually most of the national negotiators, they depend on the IPCC report, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or the other agencies. So
Yeah.
it depends on each group which one they take into consideration. There are some research or documents that come out from UNFCCC. So it's important to make sure that these accredited resources are, are accountable, you know. And we see it sometimes that like the observers, they come and speak, but they don't have much influence on the negotiation. At the end of the day, it's the negotiators, it's the parties, and the coalition. So each party, they engage with a certain coalition, you know. I mean, those are pro, let's say, green. Some are they pro. They focus more on the finance part. Some they focus on the mitigation or adaptation. But all in all, it's about the dynamics of the negotiation and the influence of the parties or the big parties that play a big role
Yes.
in the outcome or the results of each COP. So it's not only the president. Some people, they think that it's the president who put these and announce what had been adopted, but usually
No.
it's a collective negotiation by all parties, and there is something that they don't know, that any decision, it has to be by consensus.
Okay.
So if one country voted no to any decision, it will not be adopted.
It will not be passed.
So it should be by consensus. Yeah, that's very important.
Great
yes.
facts.
Yeah.
We're always here. We want to leave no one behind. And you said it's about consensus and collective.
Yeah.
Do you see it that we are still leaving communities or countries behind?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there's something that I see in Africa mainly. Until today, there is some areas they don't have access to energy. They don't have access to cooking material, to internet, to water,
basic
to electricity,
needs.
basic needs, to education. So the climate justice, is it there? No. In some areas. So this is what I think. I mean, there are lots of things to be done in order to help such communities and
to uplift them.
I mean, to uplift and then finance them.
Yes.
Because they really need it. I mean, because if you don't have electricity for the students, how they can learn? They will bring a candle and read and study for the school. Even for the cooking, if you don't have the gas or electricity, or you have access to the energy, so how you will make sure that these communities, these vulnerable communities, are being helped, are being included. I mean, the minimum basic needs, it's not there.
Yes, there's still a lot to do. Like, we hear a lot of big things, but the rational things that come, very, let's say, it's clear. It is not only clear, like, it's again back to human rights, basic rights, and they're still jeopardized, and there is a huge gap in terms of momentum to fix it once and for all. So I wonder if it's only finance, or it's political will, or it's still lacking the collective efforts again.
It's all together.
Altogether.
Yes.
Altogether. So we want to move to a theme discussing private sector's role in accelerating change. And we always hear that it is all about collective concerted efforts, public-private partnerships. The governments don't have the budgets alone to do it. From compliance to competitiveness, how can companies turn the environmental action into a competitive edge?
It's very important to work together as consultants or private sector. I mean, I see there is a lack of common efforts for the private sector. I mean, each company probably they compete for the other, but I mean, there could be chances for combining the efforts in order to solve some challenges that the region is facing. So, I mean, some good projects could facilitate, the implementation of the regulations and laws here in the region. If we gather more efforts between the private sector, how we can educate more some policymakers, how you can educate the top leaders, how you can educate the staff. Provide the suitable strategies or policies that they can implement on the short, medium, long term. So if you gather efforts between all the private sector, whether it's like the big four or the SMEs or the intermediate or medium companies, so gathering the efforts for the private sector would help and support the governments in their commitments in their plan to the net zero target. So if we don't gather the efforts, as a private sector, this would delay to reach the targets that the government had put in the region or even in the Middle East or globally, because you are part of this society, the private sector, alongside the NGOs, alongside the university. We can use also the partnership between universities and private sector and the government and others, all stakeholders, in order to have better results and better outcomes.
And civil society.
Of course, yes. Well, what I mean, NGOs,
Yes.
is that the civil society, because non-governmental organizations, they always take a big role. Some they are active, some they're not active much, but it depends on the priority for them.
It's all about the priorities.
Yes.
And the agendas. What are examples of promising public-private partnerships in the region?
There is a lot. If we start from here, in UAE, there's lots of projects that's been implemented by, let's say, ADNOC and other corporations. You have the Master City and other big corporations, like we can name like Baker Hughes, you have Siemens, you have General Electric, you have lots of partnership. In KSA also you have lots of partnership with the government, with PIF and others. You have Aqua Power, they have lots of projects that they have implemented. So it's very important to promote such partnership between the public and the private in order to implement more renewable energy projects, whether it is solar, wind or hydro or even hydrogen.
And the nuclear.
And the nuclear, yes, absolutely, yes.
And I think what is starting as well to step up is the element of circular economy, circularity,
Absolutely, yes.
waste management, avoiding landfill. So a lot of partnerships and co-creation is happening, because anyways this will be coming soon to our region.
Yes, absolutely, yes. And you have also NEOM, in KSA and others.
Yeah. What are as well some metrics or approaches that can help businesses stay accountable?
Absolutely, there is the accountability, having a third party to review the performance and audit. For example, the ESG, environment, social, and governance. So when you implement such policies and strategies, how you make sure that you are really being accountable. And in UAE and KSA, they start to have some regulation for the ESG, but it's voluntary.
Yeah.
It's not obligatory, or you don't follow global framework like in EU, So the reporting, how you make sure that when you report, your sustainability report is following the regulations. What kind of frameworks that you are following, So this is what we miss. It's still the region. What I think is that also you have to customize your own ESG for this region. As I mentioned earlier, any technology or any energy sector, the region here in GCC is different from EU, is different from US or Africa. So how to customize it. I mean, how to make sure that this is what could be implemented and could save more on the environment and protect the environment here. I mean, who will take the lead and audit such, who is the third party? So this is what should be done in terms of the ESG that we want to bring in. I mean, in EU, I heard lately that because of the very strict regulations, so the private sector is suffering. So instead of you start to have very strict binding regulations, have it step by step.
Level it.
Level it, exactly, because you start from a zero level and take it up until the private sector or the corporations are
Matures.
ready and mature
Yeah.
and can implement it. It's not about just
Abrupt
a
approach.
checklist. We did this and we did that, but in reality, what you're doing. So this is very important.
Do you think there are talks to have specific framework that binds the GCC, or it's still about following guidelines imported?
I mean, it's still, they have a little bit of from here and there. Some of them, they follow certain frameworks. So, but there is no unified GCC metrics or GCC framework in relation to the ESG or sustainability. So the majority follow global GRI,
Yes.
the Global Reporting Index. And then, so it depends on the government what kind of regulation that they will put into and how it's going to be binding and how they will implement and how to measure it,
Yes.
Yes.
Now we want to move to a very interesting session. After talking about the COPs and the governments and the frameworks, now it's the role of women, science, and sustainability leadership, which is very close to my heart. And we want to delve into breaking silos and stereotypes. So, how has your scientific background shaped your approach to leadership?
Thank you. I mean, of course, first thing you need to start looking for, I mean, more professional development. When I started my career, so, I mean, getting engaged, I mean, I remember I was the first woman from the region, in addition to Egypt, who participated in the COP in Kyoto Protocol. And so that was a privilege for me, like represented the government of Lebanon as negotiator alongside the ambassador of Lebanon in Japan, whereas the other countries, the Arab region, we only have one other lady. So it was very, interesting for me to see that I was the only female from the Middle East, in addition to my other colleague. So and now look at where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, in the COP28, you see women more than men.
Exactly. Behind climate
behind the
action,
climate change.
it is
Exactly.
absolute stewardship
So
by
I'm
women
so
leaders.
happy to see this because I saw women, working on themselves. I mean, pursuing education and more knowledge. I mean, attend the training and take certificates or courses. So I think women should focus more on obtaining more education, whether it is through diplomas or certificate, or attend conferences or training and learning from others. I mean, whether at the company, at the corporation, or when she goes
Beyond.
to the conferences or workshops and training. So the more you educate yourself, the more knowledge you acquire, it will add skills to you and you become more knowledgeable about the topics that you are of interest. You're interested in. So this is where you can also learn from others and support each other.
Yes.
This is what also is missing. We need to support women and not the other way. I mean, I believe in the more you help others, the more this will come back to you because you open the door to other women and they learn from you. It's also important for them if you have a expertise to mentor young
Yeah,
women,
yeah,
because this is when they learn from you and you provide the expertise for them and to learn from your experience. So I mean, mentorship is very important. I mean, supporting, and I see men also support women in the
playing a
workplace.
major
Yeah,
role.
so this is yeah, I mean, the knowledge and the education is very important, but also to continue working on your skills and diversify also your expertise. It's because the more you know about other topics, it will add to your experience, but also focusing on the niche. What's your niche? What you are providing, what you're giving, what you can help others in any way. Sometimes it's a resource that you share with others. So
Yes.
I always tell people, what would you lose if you know a certain, let's say someone posts something on LinkedIn, I'm looking for XYZ.
Yes.
So if you have this resource, just copy, paste, and send it to the other. So what would you lose? It's nothing.
Exactly.
I mean, you share the information, you share the knowledge, and help others by supporting each other.
Yeah, it is lifelong learning,
Yes,
curiosity, supporting each other, mentoring, and putting yourself out there to be
absolutely.
exposed and to blend in the
Yes.
various communities and networks. What advice would you give to women entering the climate and energy field today?
Oh, nice question. Absolutely. Looking more into information, looking for others who had been there. I mean, learn from them, approach the experts who had been work on such, especially the climate negotiation. I mean, learn from them. If you are going to the first COP, observe, attend all sessions, attend the plenary, attend the informal consultation, read more about the topics, educate yourself more about what's going on. I mean, read the history of the negotiation. I mean, when the negotiators they speak, see how they
Debate as
debate.
well,
Yeah,
yes.
because this is an art of negotiation. You know, see what are the groups talking about and learn from them, and then maybe later on you will try to implement such things that you learned before.
Grasp
So
the skills.
grasp the skills and do lots of training and read and yeah, and network with the other people. Yeah.
Very precious
Yes.
advices.
Thank
Why
you.
is female leadership critical to advancing climate solutions?
I think because of the passion, probably women become more passionate, or like men and women, they're passionate about the climate change, and but could be they become more passionate for women in terms of, and they take it from the from A to Z, like they defend this as a case or the cause. You know, the climate is, I mean, whether they start from educating people at home or at school or at universities or in the community or the civil society. They volunteer. I believe volunteering is very important for, I mean, when it comes to the climate and taking the lead and taking initiatives and provide feedback, provide if there is like a survey, you can provide your opinion, engage with the many stakeholders, and also see what you can add to the table, how you can improve the climate. I mean, we start as human beings. What is our responsibility? Whether, let's say, in the past, people they don't care about the climate. We just hear about the climate. Oh, it's gonna affect maybe other countries, not us, but we see it in reality. We see floods, we see
Yes.
extreme
In
weather
all
in all.
geographies.
Exactly. So what you can do as a person in order to mitigate and contribute to the reduction of greenhouse gas. So as we discussed, I mean, it starts from home. I mean, you can use the LED lamps, you can use smart meters, I mean, at home. Some they use the EV cars, you know, etc. So there's lots of things that you can do. You can use the bike when it is the weather is good. I mean, use the metro. I mean, in the past here in Dubai, we didn't have a metro, you know.
Yeah.
So, and now we see the government had more plans for the expansion of the metro in the whole UAE. And also KSA is
Yes.
going
Building
to do
the
this.
public
So public
transportation.
transportation, the metro and the train, etc. So this is very important to reduce your carbon footprint. Yeah.
Yeah, women have been always the nurturers of society, of their families. They are the gatekeepers. So, by choosing doing the right thing, which is for society, for the environment, it will help as well to role model for others.
Yeah.
I think the nurturing competencies and the compassion, which is built
Yes.
in the
Yes.
DNA,
Yes.
it is directly being connected with this big ambition.
Absolutely. Yes.
So we're moving to the rapid fire closing questions. Are you ready, Rola?
Yes. Ready.
So, from the broader approach to answering, now we will be funneling it to one word. One word that defines Rola today.
Thank you. There's not only one word. Some was like the integrity and the drive for me to help others. I believe it's very important for us to help each other, whether men and women, whether you're young generation or elder and senior. So it's very important to help and transfer the knowledge from you to others, because you learn this experience and you acquire the knowledge and the expertise
Pass
to build
it on.
Pass it on. I mean, so what you can do more and have more impactful meaning for what you do, you know, supporting others. I mean, understanding each other, understand what's the need and how you can put a solution and how you can contribute or make a suggestion about a new initiative or help others in their strategic plan, for example, for the sustainability. I mean, even voluntary. It doesn't has to be only as money-wise or commercially. So you look also at the other side, which is just to volunteer, because you give back to the society. It's very important for us to
Positive ripple effect.
Yes, yeah,
Pay it
and
forward.
try to educate and mentor. Mentoring the people is very meaningful for me. Yes.
I think if I want to summarize it for you in one word, you are generous. You are generous in the effort, in the time, in the thinking, and help, and volunteering. So I think that's it. You are a giver.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, and you preach about it, and I see it so sincere, and you always refer to it. So it's such a virtue.
Thank you.
What is your one wish for future climate policy?
My wish is to have climate justice. We see injustice everywhere, especially in countries who are poor, where the needy people, they're always looking for the energy resources, or I mean, they don't have access to electricity, to education. Education is very important for us on all levels, whether it's poor or rich country. Education about the climate, about the impacts, about what's going on, what will happen. This is very important, and have I mean the mechanism to finance and help these countries who are in need. I mean, the basic needs, they don't have it. So this is very important in order these vulnerable communities to have access to energy, to have better
Water,
solution for the climate. I mean, how they can, I mean, in Libya, for example, when they have these floods, in African countries, or even in Latin America, and even in Europe, or anywhere here in the Middle East, the impacts of the war on the climate, because they move. I mean, because people, they move from country to another.
Migrate, yeah.
To migrate. For example, the one who lives in the Middle East goes to Canada. So there is extreme harsh weather. You go from a Mediterranean or hot weather to very cold weather, how they can adapt. Even the crops, they're used to certain food. The food that you eat here is not the same. So
Different
you
diets,
go
yeah.
to Canada or other countries, you have the ethnic food, so you don't have access. And if you want to purchase such food, it's going to be very expensive. So then they have to accommodate to what is available, and you get used to the food that they
Yeah.
use in Canada, for example. So this is also an impact on the people, the food chain, etc. So the most important thing is that to gather the efforts and see what we can do more to help
To bring more justice. Because everything is interconnected.
Yes.
A project you are most proud of?
I mean, this is hard. I mean, like there are lots of projects, but I feel that when it comes to educating the people and mentoring and supporting others, this is very, I mean,
Fulfilling.
dear for me. I mean, to be generous, as you said, to help as much as I can and transfer the knowledge, my expertise. There was a project I did training for on 65 people. And I remember one of the project manager came to me and said, "Oh, Rola, this is like a charity of science." So he said that to me. I was, what? What do you mean by that? Zakat al-Alam, the charity of science. He said the participant who attend your trainings mentioned to us that when they use it in the conference, it was about the COP negotiation, about UN negotiations. So they used the tips and the knowledge that I advised in the negotiation, and they came back and they're happy. So that for me was amazing to hear.
Of course, what a gift.
Yes.
Because you have this overflowing gift of sharing. And when you see the impact and how useful it was, it is so satisfying.
Yes, so fulfilling. Yes.
Keep doing it, and I hope it's contagious to many more, because some people are insecure to share.
Absolutely,
and they like
yes.
to keep
to hide, keep it to themselves. Yeah.
Absolutely. Your go-to resource for climate insight?
For climate, I go first to the UNFCCC website. I go to the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. You go to the UN organization on the sustainable development. You go to accredited resources. So I advise everyone, before you take any information on the social media or anything, make sure this is accredited resources before you share.
It's true.
And make sure that you are conveying the messages in a way that, gives benefit to others. Because if you share negative information, or if you share false information, so you're spreading negativity, you're spreading false information about the content. Sometimes we hear in the media, oh, there is lots of X, Y, Z. So before you share or adopt such, make sure this source.
Verify.
Is it accredited resource or not?
Yes.
And not only on climate, it's also for
on everything, especially
yes.
social media.
Yes.
It's a lot of forwarding and
yes.
without really verifying, and it leads to misconceptions.
Yes.
Environmental sustainability for a better world in one sentence.
It's the sustainability of how we make sure what we have as natural resources will sustain the new generation and next generation that will come, and make sure that they have the sufficient natural resources. I recall the Brundtland Commission report on sustainability. It's like how the new generation will meet their needs while we conserve the natural resources.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why it's beyond sustainability,
Yes.
It's regeneration.
Yes, absolutely.
So-
I mean, we shouldn't be selfish. Like, okay, we open the tap water, we leave the water running. We we as a humans sometimes we are exploiting
And
our over consuming.
over
So
extracting.
make sure that you leave some to the next generation that will come. Otherwise, the earth will be
Insufficient
insufficient. Exactly.
with the resources. Thank you so much, Rola Nasreddine. You reminded us that sustainability isn't just about goals, it is about grit, strategy, and relentless collaboration. Your cross sector journey is a proof that the environment doesn't need saviors, it needs system thinkers, bridge builders, and fearless professionals. As we wrap up, the message is clear. If it wasn't lasting environmental impact in MENA, we must match ambition with execution and elevate professionals like Rula who show us how it is done. Thank you so much for listening, and please continue following Fusion Minds AI for more insights through Fusion Talks and courses in our academy.
Thank you so much for an amazing episode. Thank you.
It's our pleasure, Rilla.
Thank you.
Take care.